Jimin entered the office and found Taeyang standing in front of the glass window, looking out and smoking a cigarette. The meeting has been cancelled because Jungkook is out of the country, Jimin said, but received no response from Taeyang. Taeyang, Jimin summoned him to draw his attention. I heard you. Taeyang released the smoke from his mouth and said blankly. Jimin drew a deep breath and moved toward Taeyang. He stood beside him and spoke. You should go and talk to her. Maybe she will agree to come back. Like I have never tried to do this before. Taeyang said emotionlessly. You must not lose hope. Jimin said, placing his hand on Taeyang's shoulder. When Taeyang heard this, he turned his head towards Jimin. What if I tell you the same thing? Jimin looked at Taeyang with his confused eyes. Anna left you after Jennifer told her everything, but you never tried to meet her. It means you have already lost hope. Jimin put his hand in his pant pocket and looked out the window. I did not try because I knew it was all my fault. I lied to her and I know she will never forgive me. Jimin's words sounded like despair, as if he had given up hope. Jimin, I have already ruined her life and I don't want to do anything more, so I let her go away from me. She has even left the country because of me. Jimin looked at Taeyang, who had no expression on his face. The day he lost his baby was the last day he cried or showed any emotion. Taeyang was known for being apathetic, but after he married Jennifer, he changed completely. He started expressing his emotion. But once again, Taeyang has become as ruthless and unemotional as before. After the miscarriage, Jennifer filed for divorce, but Taeyang refused. He went to her house several times and apologized. But each time she locked herself in a room and refused to see him. Mr. Smith was also angry with him, so he sent Jennifer out of the country. Taeyang knows where she lives at the moment and can go there to meet her if he wants to. But he has restrained himself because he does not want to ruin her life anymore. He is ashamed of all his did, and now he is ready to take all the punishment from her. Anna also left Jimin after knowing everything. Jimin is deeply hurt from the inside, but on the outside, he shows as if he is okay. They have stopped talking to Jungkook and only talk professionally when they do. They know that Jungkook's remorse is killing him with each passing day, but they did not care about him and still hide from him the fact that Ryan is alive. Only Taeyang, Jimin, and Sebastian know about Ryan's survival. They still don't know if Ryan has woken up from coma. The last time Taeyang called Kevin just to tell him about Ryan's innocence. He never contacted Kevin after that day. Sebastian wanted to resign when he found out that his boss had tried to kill Ryan because he thought he was a traitor. But Jimin told him to keep working and tell them all about his actions. They are all suffering because of Jungkook's one mistake. How many days are you going to stay there? Grandma asked Kevin. Just for 2 days, Kevin replied and put a bite of chicken parmigiana in his mouth. When are you leaving? Grandma asked. Tonight, Kevin replied. Is it really necessary for you to go there? Jasmine asked dejectedly. She has not touched her food yet. Jasmine, I am not going out of the country. I am going out of the town. So don't worry, I will be back in 2 days. It's a business trip and my presence is really important. Kevin put his hand over hers and gave her a smile. Okay, Jasmine replied softly, looking down at her plate of food. Kevin. Jasmine and Kevin both looked at Grandma, who was pressing her chest with her hand. Grandma! They both shouted and got up from their seat and ran towards her. Grandma, what happened to you? Jasmine asked, and Grandma held her chest even tighter. We need to get her to the hospital, Kevin said, pulling out his cell phone to call the ambulance. Meanwhile, Jungkook got out of his private jet and saw a bodyguard waiting for him with guards. Jungkook walked toward the guard and a guard opened the door for him. He sat in the back seat of the car. The driver closed the door and headed for the driver's seat. Take me to the hospital where Mr. Taylor is admitted, Jungkook said to the driver. Okay, boss, said the driver and started the car. Jungkook moved his hand up to his chest and could feel his heart thumping. Today he is going to know everything about his real father. What happened to her, doctor? Seeing the doctor coming out, Kevin stood up and asked. She has heart failure, said the doctor. Jasmine put her hand over her mouth, her eyes filled with tears. Will she get cured? Kevin asked anxiously. Heart failure is a long-term condition that tends to get gradually worse over time. It cannot easily be cured, the doctor said. and Jasmine sat down on the chair while tears were flowing from her eyes. I am prescribing regular cardiovascular exercise that will improve her strength and make her feel better. It may also decrease heart failure progression. Don't overdo it. Plan her activities and include rest period during the day. Can we meet her? Kevin asked. She is unconscious, but we are shifting her to the CCU ward. You can meet her there. Thank you, doctor. Kevin said, and the doctor left. Kevin looked at Jasmine, who was crying. He moved towards her, and before he could reach her, she started running away. Jasmine, Kevin called out, but she did not stop. Kevin started running after her. Everyone in the corridor was looking at them. Jasmine came out of the hospital and turned right onto the road. But Kevin grabbed her by the arms and stopped her. Where are you going, Jasmine? Kevin turned her around and shouted. It's all because of me. She burst into the fits of tears, sobbing loudly. What? Kevin held her by the shoulder and asked her in confusion. I never took care of her. Even after my accident, she was putting pressure on herself by taking care of me. I never asked her if she was okay. What kind of granddaughter am I? I can't face her. I'm so ashamed, said Jasmine and began to cry. Kevin's eyes softened and he pulled her into his arms. Jasmine clutched the side of his shirt and buried her face in Kevin's chest, crying. Stop crying. You are a wonderful granddaughter. You don't remember anything, but you took good care of her, Kevin said. Really? She snuggled against him, feeling the beat of his heart. Yeah, and I know you are going to take care of her now, are not you? Kevin asked, stroking her hair with his hand. Yes, I will. Now I will stay at home with my grandmother all the time and take care of her. Kevin kissed on the top of her head. His lips held a faint smile. Jungkook's car stopped in front of the hospital. The guard opened the door for him. He got out and adjusted his coat. He stepped toward the hospital, but when he turned his eyes to the left and saw the couple hugging each other, his feet stopped on their own. He could not see their faces because the boy's back was towards Jungkook and the girl was standing hugging the boy with her face buried in his chest. After seeing them, he recalled how soothing Bayan hug had been earlier and is to feel her soft, warm body in his arm again. If you don't finish the project by tomorrow morning, I will fire you. Jungkook shouted at the man on the other end of the phone and hung up. He threw the mobile on the bed and started massaging his temple. The negligence of his employees has caused him a headache. As soon as a hand wrapped around his waist from behind, his lips automatically turned into a smile. He turned to look at his beautiful wife, who had just come out of the shower. He bit his lower lip and looked at her body, which was covered only with a white towel. Sinful thoughts began to cloud his mind. Why are you giving your employees a hard time, Mr. Jeon? She asked playfully. Jungkook rolled his eyes. Fuck them all, Mrs. Jeon. She chuckled softly as his strong arm slipped around her waist, resting his cheek against her head. Sliding her arm around his neck, she pressed against him. I still don't understand how your hugs take away all my stress, he said, feeling her soft body against him. A smile spread across her lips. Placing her hands on his chest, she stepped back and stared up at him. Unable to resist, his eyes went down to her cleavage, and once again he felt himself getting hard. He felt the rise and fall of each breath and was inches from the lips just begging for a kiss. I want you, he whispered huskily as he lifted her into his arms and carried her to the bed, gently lowering her to the bed. She hesitated only for a second and leaned into him, parting her warm lips to receive his kiss. He slowly lowered his head, and when his lips touched hers, they were warm. She surrendered to the passion he always managed to arouse. Their kiss grew more passionate, the feel of her body against him not enough to set his growing heat. His warm lips kissed their way down her neck and across her shoulder. Uncle, I love you. One of the best feelings in the world is to embrace someone you love. After seeing this couple, a desire arose in his heart, the desire to embrace Ryan. But his heart is trying to convince him that now it is a empty hope. He can never hug her again. He killed all his happiness with his own hands. Boss, is everything alright? Andrew asked worriedly. Andrew's voice brought him back to the earth, and he looked at the couple who were still standing there hugging each other. Yes, everything is fine. Jungkook put on his sunglasses and started walking inside the hospital. without realizing that the one he is yearning to hug is in someone else's embrace. Jungkook entered the room and saw a man lying on a bed with several wires attached to his body. Sir, Jun Jungkook is here to see you, Mr. Taylor's assistant informed him. With great difficulty, Mr. Taylor opened his eyes and looked toward the door where Jungkook was standing. Come here, Mr. Taylor said in a low voice and motioned for him to come closer. Jungkook walked over to the bed, pulled out a stool from under the bed, and sat on it. He held Mr. Taylor's hand in his. How are you, Mr. Taylor? Jungkook asked politely. Just a few more months, and then I will be free from this pain, he replied while chuckling sadly. Jungkook pursed his lips, unable to find the words to say. My assistant told me that you have been looking for me for a year, and you want to know something from me? Ask what you want to know, Mr. Taylor said. Do you know about my father, Harris Walker? Jungkook asked, and Mr. Taylor nodded his head slightly. Harris was my best friend, Mr. Taylor said, and Jungkook sighed burdened. Then I'm sure you know everything about my father, Jungkook said hopefully. Yes, my child, I know everything. Do you? Do you even know about his affair with my mother, June Rosella? Jungkook asked in a hesitant tone. Yes, I know. Mr. Taylor again nodded his head. You are a carbon copy of your father. No wonder why Blake wants to kill you, Mr. Taylor said, and Jungkook gave him a confused look. You look exactly like your father. That's why Blake wants to kill you, because you remind him of your father, Mr. Taylor said, and Jungkook looked down. He did not know whether he should be happy that he got his father's future or he should be ashamed that his father reminded Blake of his wife's betrayal. I was your father's friend, but I'm still saying your father was a psychopath, said Mr. Taylor, and Jungkook's head snapped up. Yes, Jungkook, your father was deranged, Mr. Taylor said. Can you tell me everything from the beginning? Jungkook asked. Mr. Taylor took a deep breath before telling Jungkook about his parents' life. Your mother Rosella and Harris met at a business party. They both fell in love at first sight. Your mother wanted to marry Harris and wanted him to ask her father for her hand in the marriage. But Harris always postponed because of his business. One day we were sitting in the office when Rosella came and told him that her father had arranged her marriage to Blake Martin. Harris and Blake had been enemies since childhood. They even went to the same high school. How did the two get into animosity? Jungkook asked curiously. Both families have been mortal enemies since the time of Harris' great-grandfather. All I heard was that Martin family had betrayed Walker's family, and as for Harris and Blake, there was a girl in our high school whom Harris loved. On a party night, the girl and Blake had sex under the influence of alcohol. But Blake did not know that she was Harris' girlfriend. That girl sparked the fire of their enmity. Your father was crazy. When Rosella told him about the marriage, he did not think of Rosella, but of revenge on Blake. Mr. Taylor's features changed, his chest raising up and down in anger. Jungkook squeezed his hand a little to calm him down. What happened after that? Jungkook asked. Harris told Rosella a fake story that Blake's father has betrayed his father by taking over his business in the past, which is why he had committed suicide and he wants to get his father's business back from Martin's. Rosella did not agree and told him to forget everything and move on. But your father was a psychopath. He persuaded Rosella to marry Blake by emotionally blackmailing her and by showing her big dreams for their future. Jungkook closed his eyes, exhaled a long breath. If you don't want to hear more, I can stop here, said Mr. Taylor. No, no, you keep going. I want to know everything, Jungkook said and turned his attention to Mr. Taylor again. Okay then. Finally, your mother agreed and married Blake. After the marriage, Rosella came to Harry's house a few times, but after a few months, she began to realize that Blake was not what Harris told her about Blake. When she found out she was pregnant, she broke up with Harris and told him that she loved Blake and wanted to live with him. Harris became furious and slapped your mother that day. At the moment, I took the situation into my hand and took Harris out of the country with me. 9 years later, Rosella called Harris and asked him to come back. When we returned, we found out that you were diagnosed with leukemia and your only chance of survival was a bone marrow transplant. And the doctor said that only father and mother can give it. Rosella's kidney was removed due to disease, so the doctor said that she would not be able to give you a bone marrow. But we were confused as to why she was telling Harris all this. The doctor did some tests on Harris, and after the tests, it was found out that Harris was your biological father. The doctor was your mother's cousin. When he did blood tests, his DNA did not match with you, so he had his from Blake. Talked to Rosella about this. Rosella requested him not to tell Blake about this and called Harris for help because she believed that if you were not Blake's, then you were Harris' son. Mr. Taylor looked at Jungkook, who was looking down, perhaps ashamed of what his parents had done. He took a deep breath and continued. As I told you in the beginning, your father was a psycho. He did not care that you were fighting between life and death. He told Rosella that if she will help him to destroy Blake, then he will save your life. At first, Rosella was shocked to hear his condition, but then she agreed to his condition to save your life. After that, they started meeting each other again and became closer than before. Rosella began spying on Blake. She started telling Harris every little thing about Blake. Harris told Rosella that he would marry her and they will spend the rest of their life with their son. Mr. Taylor paused. Jungkook looked up at him. Then, what happened? Jungkook asked in a low voice. Harris recorded all the conversation between him and Rosella. He even recorded them and sent it to Blake. A few hours later, Blake came to the office angrily and asked Harris if he had an affair with his wife, and Harris shamelessly admitted it all. The day I saw Blake's broken side, he looked really hurt that day. He threatened Harris and left. I was worried for Rosella, but Harris was calm. At that moment, I realized that he was only using your mother. The next morning, I saw in the news that your mother had been killed. Everyone knew who did it, but Blake used his power, money, and lawyers to save himself from punishment. I did not know where you were. I left the country, but a few years later, I got the news that someone had killed Harris. I knew that the killer was Blake. There were tears in Jungkook's eyes. Today, he is really ashamed. He cannot digest the fact that he is an illegitimate child. Your real father is to blame. I don't blame Blake for what he did with Rosella and Harris, because if there was someone else in his place, he would do the same. Jungkook clenched his fist when he remembered that he had done the same to Ryan. That's why I create the same situation, so you can understand how I was feeling when I decided to kill your mother. Blake's word echoed in Jungkook's head. Jungkook said nothing more to Mr. Taylor and got up from the stool. He stepped towards the door and walked out of the hospital room. Grandma, how are you feeling now? Jasmine asked her while she was feeding her bird. I'm feeling. Take me home now, said the grandmother, annoyed with the children who had forcefully detained her in the hospital. Grandma, you will stay in the hospital for a week, Kevin said sternly. If you don't want me to die soon, then take me home, said Grandma, and Jasmine gave her a glare. Grandma, don't talk like that. You won't die before you see your great grandchildren. Kevin cut Jasmine's word and winked at her. Jasmine slapped his arm slightly and looked down shyly. The way you are delaying the marriage, I don't think I will be able to see your wedding, grandmother said, rolling her eyes. What do you think of our wedding after my return from the business trip? Kevin said. Jasmine and grandmother both looked at him in shock. What do you say? Kevin looked at Jasmine, who was still looking at him in shock. It's the best, so it's final that you two are getting married in this month, grandmother announced, her face shone with happiness. Do you agree with that, Jasmine? Kevin asked. Jasmine looked at her grandmother, who was looking at her with hopeful eyes. Jasmine looked down at her engagement ring and nodded, smiling. Oh God, you made me so happy today. Come here. She opened her arms for them. Both came closer to her and Grandma hugged them both. Jungkook was sitting on the sofa in his room, smoking a cigarette. It was night, but he had not left his room since noon. He heard a knock on the door. Come in. Andrew, come in. Jungkook turned his face towards him. His eyes fell on the envelope in Andrew's hand. He looked back at Andrew's face and raised his eyebrow. What's in your hand? Jungkook asked. Boss, Mr. Taylor's assistant gave it to me. You left the hospital, so he asked me to give it to you. Bring it here. Jungkook gestured him to come closer. Andrew walked toward him and gave him the envelope. Jungkook put the cigarette on the ashtray. We are going back tomorrow, Jungkook said and started opening the envelope. Okay, boss. Andrew bowed his head and then left the room. Jungkook opened the envelope, took out all the pictures, and spread them on the glass table in front of him. He picked up a picture and immediately recognized that it was his father. Mr. Taylor was right that he looked exactly like his father. He also looked at other picture that belongs to his mother. He collected all the pictures from the table and walked toward the fireplace. Standing in front of the fireplace, he saw the picture in his hand for the last time before throwing it inside. He put his hand inside his pocket while all the pictures were blending in front of his eyes. I don't want to keep your picture with me because it reminds me of your betrayal and my destruction, Jungkook said without showing any emotion on his face. Next day, why is it so crowded here? Jungkook yelled at his driver. Was a street performance are going on, that's why everyone is gathered. His driver responded, fearing his first rising temper. Jungkook is returning to New York today. He decided to meet with Mr. Taylor for the last time, as he left the hospital yesterday without saying anything. But here they are, stuck in the middle of the crowd. Some dancer was dancing, some were showing amazing skill, and the music of a violin is reaching his ear from afar. Violin music took us back to his fast days, where Vian used to play the violin for him. She really loved playing it, and it was only the instrument she could play well. He looked at his ring finger and smiled. He is still wearing his wedding ring and doesn't care what people say about wearing wedding ring after death of his wife. He loved Vian and he would wear this ring till his last breath. He closed his eyes and brought the ring close to his lips and kissed it with a smile. Suddenly, the violin music stopped and then started playing again with a different music. His eyes snapped open. This music? This is the same music that Vian used to play. Unable to believe how he was listening to the same music, he quickly got out of the car and began searching for the sound. His driver kept calling him, but he did not care about anything. He just wanted to find the owner who is playing the violin. He was running around the street to find where the sound was coming from. He even asked people if they knew where the violin was beginning to play, but they just shook their heads. The violin's music suddenly stopped, and Jungkook began to search more impatiently. At last, he saw the crowd gather in a circle by the side of the road. He ran to the crowd and pushed everyone out of the way to see the owner. But all his hopes were shattered when he saw a man sitting there. Who was playing the violin right now? Jungkook asked, breathing heavily. There was a girl who asked me to let her play the violin, said the man, and Jungkook's face lit up in hope. Where did she go? Jungkook asked impatiently. I did not see, said the man, and Jungkook ran his hand through his hair. He stepped out of the crowd and looked around in despair. He looked very sad. He was very close. He does not know if the girl is Vian or not, but his heart is constantly saying that Vian is here. Double-decker bus passed in front of him on the road. He took a deep breath and turned to his left to go. He took a step, but then stopped when he realized something. His mouth widened, and he turned quickly to see the bus that had just crossed. But what caught his attention was the girl sitting on the upper deck. Vian? Jungkook did not waste a single moment and started running after the bus. He was running on the sidewalk. A lot of people were coming his way, but he pushed them all out of his way and kept running after the bus. He does not want to lose her again. Vian, he called her name, but his voice sounded very low due to the noise around them. Vian, look back! Jungkook saw road barriers in his way, but he jumped over them and kept running after the bus. The bus was moving very fast, and Jungkook got tired. He fell on his knees and screamed her name for the last time. Vian! Jasmine point of view. Kevin left the town last night for his business trip. Grandma insists on going home, so we brought her back home yesterday. Right now, I'm here at the pastry shop to buy a lamington for Grandma. She's my grandma, but sometimes she acts like a spoiled little sister. She's always very picky about food. She said she wanted to eat lamington, and so I came here early in the morning to get lamington for her. Today it's really crowded. People are doing street dances or showing their amazing skills. I saw a man who playing the violin. I don't know why, but my legs started moving towards him automatically. Not many people stood to watch him play the violin. Excuse me? He stopped and looked at me questioningly. Can I play the violin? I asked, and he hesitated, looking at the violin. Maybe he's worried that I will damage his violin. I will not damage it. I know how to play it, I said, but I was confused as to how I could say it with such a confidence that I could play the violin. The man smiled and got up from his seat. I looked at him with my knitted brow, but he motioned for me to sit down. I put my bag down and sat down in his place. He held out his violin for me. I took the violin from him and started playing. I could not believe I could really play the violin. I did not even know the music. My fingers were working on their own. Soon people began to gather. I closed my eyes and felt the music. While playing, a memory suddenly came to my mind, and with a jerk, I opened my eyes and stopped playing the violin. I looked around and saw that people were looking at me worryingly. Sorry, I apologized and handed the violin back to the man, picked up the bag, got up, and walked towards the bus. I went and sat on the upper deck seat. I took out my mobile and earphone from my bag and started listening to songs. After a few minutes, the bus started moving. I closed my eyes and thought about memory again. Nothing was clear. I just saw someone playing the piano and smiling. I could not see anything clearly. Whenever I stopped taking the medicine, I start to have vague memories and then I start having headache. I don't know why Kevin is forcing me to take medicine. He always brings medicine in a glass bottle that does not have a name tag on it. Maybe he does not want me to know the name because he know I will check on the internet about medicine. I know Kevin is worried about me and that's why he is giving me the medicine as the doctor advised. But if not taking this medicine will bring back my memories, then I should stop taking them. Boss, where did you go? Is everything alright? Jungkook drivers asked, seeing Jungkook approaching the car. Give me the keys. Jungkook said, extending his palm towards the driver and asking for the car keys. The driver got confused but still handed the car keys to his boss. Jungkook opened the car door and sat on the driver's seat. He started the car and slid down the window to look at the confused driver standing outside. Take a taxi and go to the hotel. We are not going to New York for a few days. Jungkook said and drove away before the driver could say anything. Jungkook stepped inside the church. This is the place where he himself does not remember the last time he came. But today he wanted to thank his God for giving him back his violin. The church was silent, and as soon as he stepped inside, he took a great gulp of the clean, cold air. He rubbed his palm against his trouser, which was soaked with sweat. He was really nervous. He licked his dry lips. His heart was pounding in his chest. He walked further and knelt down while he joined his hand and closed his eyes. Thank you, God. I am so grateful to you for giving me back my violin, my love, my violin. Thank you for giving me a second chance in this life. I know I have done terrible things, but now I will repent. Tears kept falling from his eyes, but he did not stop speaking his heart out. My God, I am very grateful to you for giving an angel to a devil like me. I really love her, my God. Anger blinded me to see her innocence. I hurt her a lot, but now I am ready to face any obstacle to bring her back into my life. I don't know where she is at the moment. She was very close to me. I want to hug her, cry her in his arms, and tell her how sorry I am. Please, my God, please take me to her. Show me the way to find her and apologize to her. Please forgive me for everything and give me the happiness I long for. Please, my God, please. Her love drove me crazy. I am in a very bad condition in her love. Once I meet her, I will be relieved of every pain. He opened his eye, wiped the tears from his face, and left the church. Jimin entered the office and found Taeyang standing in front of the glass window, looking out and smoking a cigarette. He drove all over the country, looking on both sides of the road to see if he could find his violin. He did not even eat lunch because the most important thing for him at that time was to find violin. He wants to hug her. He is sure that embracing her will take away all the pain he felt in his heart for 2 years without her. But one thing that confused him was how she was here in Australia. But then he shrugged off the thought and thanked the God for saving her. Vian's body was not found, so somewhere in his heart there was a hope that she was alive. And seeing her alive here today, his hope came true that she did not die that night. God has given him a second chance. and he will not miss the opportunity. He spent the whole day driving around the town looking for Ryan. He is now sitting in his car, which he parked in an unknown place. There are houses around the area. Exhausted, he rested his head on the leather seat. He wrapped his arm around his chest and closed his eyes. Please, my lord, take me to my love. He prayed to God before falling asleep. Help! Jungkook woke up with a jolt when he heard someone scream. Help me! He heard again, but this time louder than before. He got out of the car and looked around, but the road was empty. The light in all the houses were off, which means everyone is asleep. He looked at his wristwatch and saw the time, 11:48 p.m. Jungkook looked at the time and whispered, "Please leave me." Jungkook heard the voice again, and he immediately guessed where the voice was coming from. He ran there and saw two men trying to rape the girl. Jungkook's blood boiled, and he clenched his fist. "Leave the girl alone." Jungkook spoke, and the man turned back to look at him. "Should I leave her and go to your house with you to have fun with your wife?" said one man, laughing, adding fuel to Jungkook's already burning fire. Jungkook approached the man and kicked him hard, causing him to fall on the other side of the girl. The other man became alert and moved toward Jungkook, but Jungkook punched him hard in the face, causing him to fall on the ground. "Run away from here," Jungkook told the girl. She immediately picked up her belongings and ran away. The first man was about to chase the girl, but Jungkook grabbed him and started beating him, causing his nose to bleed. Jungkook heard the sound of someone's running footsteps. He turned his head to the right and saw another man running away. Jungkook left the first man, who was about to faint, and ran after the other. They were running around the houses. The place was dark and silent. Only the sound of their running footsteps could be heard. Jungkook increased his speed and finally grabbed the man. He pushed him to the ground and hovered over him and started punching him. "How dare you touch a girl without her consent?" Jungkook said and drove off his down into the man's gut. Jungkook was punching him when he suddenly felt pain in his abdomen. The man pushed Jungkook away from him and started running away. Jungkook tried to run again, but his in pain. He touched his abdomen and felt something wet. He immediately realized that he had been stabbed. Jungkook was in great pain. He stood up with great difficulty. "I can't die now. I have to find my wife and apologize to her." He approached a nearby house and knocked, placing his hand on his abdomen to stop the bleeding. He knocked again and waited for a few seconds, but no one opened the door. He felt dizzy. "I need help, please. Someone save me." He knocked again and said, but his word came out as a faint whisper. He was about to faint, so he put his finger on the bell and kept ringing it. His vision was blurred, but he saw the light of the house being turned on, and he heard the sound of the door opening. He pulled his finger away from the doorbell and saw that someone had opened the door, but could not see anything because of his dizziness. "Help me." He asked for help before fainting in the arms of the person who opened the door. Little did he know that God had heard his prayer. Jasmine's point of view. I woke up to the sound of knocking on the door, but I ignored it and closed my eyes again. But suddenly, when the doorbell started ringing, I got up with a jerk and sat on the bed. I groaned angrily and looked at the time. Who is the crazy person who is ringing someone's door in the middle of the night? I got out of the bed and walked out of the room. "Who is this mannerless chap?" I heard Grandma's voice, who came out of her room after hearing the bell and turned on the living room's light. "Grandma, wait here, I will check," I said and walked to the door. I unlocked the door, and the person standing outside stopped ringing the bell. I opened the door and gasped when I saw a man standing in front of me in a very bad condition. His white shirt was soaked with blood, and his eyes were closing as if he was about to faint. "Help me," he said in a low voice before dropping his weight on my body. I quickly grabbed him in my arms so he would not fall on the floor. "Oh my god, what happened to him?" I hear my grandmother's voice behind me. "I don't know," I said and dragged him inside the house with great difficulty. "Let me help you." Grandma came to help me. "No, no, I will take care of him. You just close the door," I said, and Grandma hurriedly closed the door. I dragged him to the couch and laid him there. Then I went to Grandma's room and got a first aid kit. We should call the police, said Grandma, walking towards the landline phone. Grandma, don't call the police until he wakes up. We don't even know what happened to him, I said and began to treat his wound. The wound was not so deep. Yeah, you are right. He does not even look like a criminal or a dangerous man. Grandma said, sitting on the other couch. I was treating his wound when suddenly he held my hand. I flinched and looked at his face, but his eyes were closed. His breathing was ragged and uneven, his trembling body slick with sweat. Why? He whispered. I looked at Grandma in confusion. Hey, are you okay? I put my hand on his forehead. His body was on fire, and sweat trickled down his face. Brian, please don't go. He whispered again. His lips were quivering and his breathing was raspy. So it's a matter of love, which means I don't have to be here, Grandma said and walked toward her room. I don't know why Grandma hates love. I looked again at the man who was continuously murmuring Vian's name. He really loves Vian. That's why he does not want her to leave him. Vian, please. He murmured. Vian would be a fool to leave the man who loves her so much. I smiled and thought, love is still alive in this world. I treated his wound and then went to the kitchen. I poured cold water into a bowl and walked towards the living room. I dipped the cotton cloth in water and placed it on his forehead. He stopped murmuring Vian's name and fell asleep. I looked at his face closely as if I had forgotten everything around me. Then suddenly I saw another memory of my past. I felt a jolt in my head. I held my head tightly and sat down on the floor next to couch. My head was aching. I blinked several times to get rid of the pain, but the pain was not going away. God, it's unbearable. I moaned in pain. After a few seconds, the pain subsided and I was relieved now. I tried to remember what I had seen this time, but nothing came to my mind. I tried to remember again, but my head ached again, and I stopped thinking about that memory. End of Jasmine's point of view. Meanwhile, in New York, Jimin, as usual, stopped his car outside Anna's house. Anna goes to music school every morning at 8 o'clock. Anna has become a piano teacher and teaches children to play the piano. Jimin never came in front of her. He just looked at Anna from a distance. Only he knew how much he was hurt when Anna broke up with him after she found out everything. On that day, she even slapped Jimin for lying to her. Jimin's face lit up when he saw Anna coming out of the house, but when he saw her hugging a boy, he got enraged. The boy then grabbed her hand and started walking with her. Jimin got out of the car and started walking toward them. Anastasia! Jimin shouted her name. Anna turned around and was shocked for a moment to see Jimin here. Leave her hand. Jimin growled, glaring at the boy. And why would he let go of his girlfriend's hand? Anna asked, and Jimin said his name at a direction. Girlfriend? Jimin asked the trick. Yes, Mr. Bug, we are dating. We are leaving for some important work. So if you allow us now. Anna gave a fake smile to Jimin and started walking toward the other side with the boy. Hurt is a short word to describe what Jimin is feeling at the moment. Did he come back? Taeyang asked Sebastian about Jungkook. No, sir. And you called and said he would stay in Sydney for a few more days, Sebastian said. Taeyang hummed and took a sip of his drink. But suddenly something came in his mind which made him choke on his drink and he started coughing. Sir, are you alright? Sebastian stood up and asked, rubbing Taeyang's back. Where is he staying? Taeyang asked as he placed the glass on the table. In the hotel? Sebastian replied uncertainly. Fool, I am asking in which city is he staying? Taeyang shouted in frustration. Sydney, said Sebastian. Fuck. Taeyang cursed loudly and got up from the couch. He ran his hand through his hair. What happened, sir? Sebastian also stood up and asked. Taeyang turned to look at Sebastian. I sent Kevin with Brian to Sydney, said Taeyang, and Sebastian's eyes widened. Jungkook's point of view. I got up and moaned in pain. I was lying on the couch. I sat on the couch and looked around and found myself in a small cozy house. I dropped my gaze to the abdomen and found a pad of coil and a strip of adhesive tape over my wound. I checked my shirt, which was lying on the couch next to me, and had blood stained on it. I heard voices coming from somewhere. I picked up the shirt and put it on. Following the sound with small steps, I finally entered the kitchen. Young man, you have finally woken up. I heard a voice from behind and turned to see an old woman walking towards the dining table with a plate of pancakes in her hands. You were injured, so my granddaughter brought you inside the house and treated your wound. She took care of you all night because you also had a high fever. She placed the plate on the table and said while fixing the dishes, "Thanks." I thanked her. "Don't thank me, just thank her." I went to my room and slept. But she stayed up all night looking after you. She spoke and sat down on the chair. "Was your aunt and had breakfast with us?" she said. "No, thank you. I must go now," I said, taking a few steps to leave. But stop when I hear the old woman's voice again. "You can go after breakfast. We have already made it for 3. I bite my lower lip, not knowing what to do. "Young man, I know you would not like to see my other side, do you?" This time she spoke strictly. I sighed in defeat and moved towards the kitchen sink. I turned on the faucet and washed my hands. Then I came back to the table and sat on the chair. "Jasmine, come out. Breakfast is ready." The old woman called her to her granddaughter. "I'm coming." I heard a sweet voice. I put the pancake on my plate and took a fork and a knife. I was about to take a piece in my mouth when I heard the footsteps of someone approaching the table and looked up. Here I am. Fork slipped out of my grip and fell on the table. My mouth hung open and my eyes widened because the one I was looking for everywhere was standing in front of me. Knowingly, a small whisper came out of my mouth. "Vian." "Look, Grandma, he's missing Vian again," Jasmine said to her grandmother, smiling, and sat down in the chair in front of Jungkook. Jungkook frowned his eyebrows. He could not understand what was happening. "Young man, meet my daughter Jasmine. She took care of you last night." His body went rigid, and confusion crossed his features. "Jasmine?" He stared at them both in utter confusion. "Yeah, I'm Jasmine Brown." Jasmine introduced herself with a smile on her face. Jungkook could not understand why Vian was calling the old man her grandmother and why she was calling herself Jasmine. Above all, why doesn't she recognize her husband? "What's your name, young man?" Grandma asked. Grandmother's voice took Jungkook out of his thought and brought him back to the earth. He turned his eyes away from Jasmine and turned his head towards the old woman. "Jeon Jungkook." Jungkook told her his name in a simple, low voice. "You have a very nice name, and you can call me Grandma," Grandma said with a smile, to which Jungkook nodded his head with a faint smile on his face. "Can you tell us who Vian is?" Jasmine asked, and Jungkook felt as if someone had stabbed him in the heart. "Why is she doing this? Is she punishing me for what I did to her?" he thought, and looked at Jasmine, who was eagerly waiting for him to tell her about Vian. Vian is someone I love," Jungkook said, looking down. He did not have the courage to meet Vian's eyes. "Did she leave you?" Vian asked hesitantly, and Jungkook gazed up at her. Surprise crossed Jungkook's face. "I'm sorry, but last night you were saying in your sleep, 'Vian don't leave me.' I thought maybe she left you. I'm sorry if I offended you." She looked at Jungkook with apologetic eyes. "She did not leave me. I sent her far away from me, but God sent her back to me again. I am very close to her, but still I feel that I am far away." Jungkook said without thinking what he was saying, looking straight into Jasmine's eyes. "What do you mean?" She was looking at him with her eyebrow raised questioningly. Jasmine's question brought him back to his senses. He cursed under his breath when he realized what he had just said. "It's nothing, I'm sorry," Jungkook said quickly and looked down at his plate. "He too had talked a lot. Now start your breakfast," Grandma said sternly. Jasmine gave Jungkook a nervous smile before starting breakfast. "Even though we are close, we are still far away," Jungkook thought. Profound sadness was depicted on his face. It's night time. Jungkook is sitting in the backyard. Jungkook had left his mobile phone in the car, so he could not contact the man. Grandma asked Jungkook how he was injured, and Jungkook told the whole truth about how he saved a girl from being raped. Jasmine offered him to stay at their house until he felt better, and he immediately accepted the offer because he wanted to spend time with her, and he also wanted to know if she was really his wife. He spent all day with grandmother because Jasmine was busy with household chores. After dinner, Jungkook asked Jasmine to take him to the backyard. Jasmine ironed his shirt, which she had washed during the day. He put on his shirt and then Jasmine took him to the backyard. Jasmine made coffee for both of them and then she went to the backyard and sat down in front of Jungkook on a chair. She passed a cup of coffee to Jungkook, who grabbed it and took a sip. Mr. Jeon, did you like the coffee? Jasmine asked. I like it, and please call me Jungkook. Jungkook said with a smile. Okay, Jungkook. Jasmine smiled and took a sip of her coffee. Jungkook felt like he was in cloud nine. It's been a long time since he last heard his name coming out of her mouth. Jasmine placed her cup on the table between them and then she looked at Jungkook hesitantly. Jungkook, can you tell me how Ryan is? There was a touch of hesitation in her voice. I was curious. If you do want to tell me, then that's fine. Jasmine said quickly. Jungkook took a deep breath and placed his cup on the table. Ryan is the most beautiful thing I have ever seen. She's got both inner and outer beauty. She's kind and pure soul. Jungkook smiled and began to describe Ryan. Sometimes she acts to be a spoiled girl, but on the inside she is a scaredy cat. Jungkook said and chuckled, remembering the moment when she acted to be bold, but all her boldness flew away whenever he reminded her to be his mafia boss. She likes quiet places and hates clubs and parties. Jungkook looked at Jasmine, who had her arms wrapped around her chest and leaned back in her chair, listening intently. She likes to play the violin and read novels. Jungkook noticed a change in Jasmine's expression, but he still continued. She does not talk much, and when she gets angry, she forgets who is standing in front of her, and she vents all her anger on that person. Jasmine was still looking at him with her wide eye in shock. What happened? Jungkook finally asked her, looking at the expression on her face. Jasmine smiled and sat up straight in her chair. You won't believe me, Jungkook, but your Vian is just like me, Jasmine said excitedly. My Vian is not like you. My Vian is you, my love, came the voice from Jungkook's heart. Everything you said about Vian is similar to mine, Jasmine said, and Jungkook smiled to hide his own itching despair. I told you about Vian. Now tell me about yourself. Jungkook asked, hoping he might find out some information about her. What can I say about myself? Now, Jasmine went into deep thought. I have lost my memory. Jasmine threw a bomb at Jungkook. What? The information came as a profound shock. Yeah, I went into a coma about 2 years ago due to an accident. When I woke up, I did not remember anything because I had lost my memory. My grandmother and my fiance took care of me. They were fiance? Jungkook could not hear her next word because his ear only got the word fiance. Yes, I'm engaged. Look. Jasmine raised his hand, showed a ring finger to Jungkook. Jungkook's heart shattered when he saw that someone else had put a ring on her finger, where only he had the right. We got engaged 2 months ago and will be getting married soon, said Jasmine, looking at the ring and smiling. Who is? Jungkook's voice was not helping him either. He could not say anything after this shocking news. Oh my god! Suddenly Jasmine shrieked and got up from her chair. Jungkook looked at her purringly, but was relieved when he saw the smile on her face. But he wondered what was behind him that he made her smile so much. You are back, Jasmine said happily and ran to someone, ignoring Jungkook's presence. Jungkook was confused as to who she was so happy to see. He also got up and turned around, but after looking at the scene in front of him, he felt as if soul has been taken out of his body for a moment. He was surprised to see the man his wife was hugging. Kevin? He mumbled the name with incredible certainty. Jasmine pulled away from the hug. Kevin looked at Jungkook but did not show any shock or fear because he already knew about his presence here. Who is he? Kevin asked Jasmine, pretending he did not know Jungkook at all. Oh, sorry, I forgot to introduce you both. Jasmine slapped her own forehead. Jasmine held Kevin's hand and took him towards Jungkook. They came and stood in front of Jungkook, but Jungkook's eyes were fixed on their intertwined hand. He is Jeon Jungkook. Jasmine pointed her hand to Jungkook and said to Kevin. Then she looked at Kevin, and he is. Her words died down as she felt a hand slide around her waist. Jasmine looked at Kevin with a raised eyebrow, but his eyes were fixed on the man standing in front of him. Jungkook clenched his jaw and fist tightly and glared at Kevin, who had his hand wrapped around Jasmine's waist. But Kevin just smirked and introduced himself. Kevin Martinez, her fiance.